It's good to have you on. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Very excited to be here.
Okay, well, hold on to that energy because
Oh no.
It's gonna get bumpy fast.
we have a question we ask everyone as our first question, which is when is the last time you worried about covering your monthly expenses?
Um, Maybe like last month or the month before.
It's
And-
real.
yeah, and that's only because I'll give the qualifier here that it's only because I'm in the newer stages of running my own thing and I'm horrible with money. So I've only done like the books kind of recently. So I've, haven't really wasn't sure it would work or if I could pay people to make things with me and if I could fund the thing I'm doing. So I've had some anxiety around that quite recently.
So the thing that you're building, I mean, I'm a fan of yours, so I've been watching your work previous to your own endeavors and even now. So is that when you talk about what you're building and what you're doing the books for, is it your own YouTube media or is it more than that?
My own YouTube media and hopefully a little bit more than that in the coming months or years or so. Maybe it's something we'll get to organically. But yeah, like I've kind of been relatively lucky in having little freelance windows here and there over the years, but kind of landing in jobs that offered some level of security, even if I hated them, where someone was paying a salary and some company took money from that salary so I could go to the doctor and stuff like that. So, and I think it's a different experience too. I've been quite broke as a single person in my late 20s, early 30s. This is my first time of being a person in my 40s with a spouse and a child dealing with a certain type of precarity and uncertainty. So I think it feels, or it has felt a little bit different.
So the timing of this comes as, just for a bunch of people who might be aware of even the sound of your voice and not immediately put it together yet. You were the voice of Wisecrack, which was a very successful YouTube platform. And I'm assuming that's one of the things that was a stable salaried income for a long time. And then that recently went away. And, just for the purposes of this podcast, the economics of that are a very interesting conversation. So as much as you'd love to go into it, we'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, well, I spent 5 years as the full-time host and writer of Wisecrack. Before that, I'd done freelance writing and hosting and stuff for them. But yeah, I meant for 5 years, I had a consistent job in digital media that had a level of security because the channel was acquired by a larger media group. Many downsides to that. I would say one of the upsides was the checks cleared. And at a certain point, by the time I stopped working there, it was like making, I would say like solid money relative to the sort of stuff that I do. And over a period of 6 months, I kind of witnessed the collapse of that thing. And it never felt, and I'm sure everyone who works in a creative field and journalism and digital media has felt this. It always feels like the bottom could fall at any point. And every year I would just think to myself, I'm lucky this worked for another year. But it kind of all collapsed quite suddenly in the spring of 2025. And that had led me to then just starting my own channel and seeing if I could do a version of the stuff that I was doing, but more authentic to myself and independently. And I've had to learn a lot through that and especially like figure out the numbers of that in ways I never had before.
So what brought about the collapse?
Yeah.
The sudden collapse of Wisecrack?
Yeah. So the channel was started by a group of people I like very much. And they started it as an independent venture at a time where I think YouTube was looked at more of as like a proto TV thing. And people were making more narrative series and things that had a little bit more of like creativity to them. And this was before the people just talking about stuff era that we're currently in on YouTube. God bless it. But, there was a point in which the channel was just putting out a couple videos a week, had a couple other properties, was doing podcast, had like a valuation or something in the low millions. Who knows what these numbers ever mean? I don't think they mean anything real. And at a certain point, the owners kind of took advantage of that, not in a bad way, and sold the channel to a smaller media company. And that company took over. They were fine. Eventually, that media company was acquired by a larger media company and called Enthusiast Gaming. That, I mean, they refused to pay me severance, so I didn't have to sign any NDA stuff, so I don't care. They just horribly mismanaged the thing. And I think fundamentally misunderstood what the value of channels and media groups like that was. And when it came time for that company to kind of try to save face and save money, they just laid off all of the creative people all at once, including our team. They retained people that worked in, like ad sales and some stuff like that. But it seemed like one of those instances, and we've seen this in a lot of media companies, where at a certain point, folks realize we can outsource, we can freelance, we can AI so many elements of the creative thing, because all the written video, audio content is a mechanism for the selling and packaging of advertising. So it's like the unnecessary part of it. And there was a meeting I was at a few months before everyone got laid off, whereas like I sat in a room, I got to watch someone ask the question like, well, couldn't we have AI write these scripts? And couldn't we actually have AI like host stuff? And they were saying this in a room with people who like wrote things, pitched things, hosted things, edited things.
The host,
like do it for yeah.
Yeah. And in this room too were people that were part of all types of like very cool creative projects. And it just shows you like many of the people in charge of the purse strings, they see those things as an opportunity to get rid of the pesky people that make the stuff, so they can simply have the product that allows them to have enough data to sell enough advertising to keep the house of cards going.
Was there no one in this group of people who were suddenly managing this thing that had a functional idea of how this really worked? Did they expect that it would be just as successful if they got rid of the creative people and just kept the machinery going?
So I don't know the like mechanisms of thinking of the people who were in charge, because it was a company run out of Toronto, and there was a small group of guys in Toronto. A CEO who I knew was really bad the first time he gave a talk to the whole company, and he told the story about this amazing man he met who started this business, and that business is Live Nation Ticketmaster. And I was like, oh, we're saying that guy's good. That's not, I don't like this story. And then he was just like, we want to be the Live Nation Ticketmaster for digital gaming content and other stuff. And I was like, no, those are the bad guys that everyone hates. We don't want to be them. But that doesn't give you a lot of confidence. The crazy thing is they put someone in charge of all of the media content stuff for the whole company, including Wisecrack, but a bunch of other places. I'm not going to say this person's name because I don't know if they would want their name said, but they're awesome. They're wonderful LA-based creative who's produced so many cool things. They just didn't listen to him. I think it's as simple as that. I think they just didn't listen or care. And I think at a certain point, when you are an unprofitable business, you take advantage of the quickest routes to present yourself as profitable so you can sell off. And like, since they laid all of this off, they've just sold off pieces of that company to weirder companies that are going to just AI stuff.
So I read something recently that might illuminate some of this, and perhaps y'all saw this story too, which was about the person from, it was a podcast company I think we've all heard of, and it was Wondery, who's now doing an all AI podcasting venture.
I did read about that.
And she said their goal is to do like 6,000 podcasts, something like that. And I saw someone run the numbers on it, and it wasn't difficult. That said, basically, because the first reaction was like, how are they going to make any money? Like, who's going to listen to fucking AI generated podcasts? And someone pointed out they don't have to make very much money from each podcast. If you have 6,000 podcasts and you get however many, I don't even know the math, but like, and 7 people download them, that's going to give you all the ad impressions you need to cover the cost because AI is so cheap. For the moment, AI is cheap. That might change. Everyone should know that. So that is, I'm sure, what they're thinking. It's not even like they want to be. See, I think that a lot of us who are in the business of trying to create so that people love it, right? So we can share our passion and sense of humor and knowledge and all that. Like the way that we've traditionally thought about things is they get popular. Like you want things to have listenership, and sometimes you want to create something that's really good. These people are not interested in that. Like you could say to them, but the AI thing won't make a good joke. And they'll be like, yeah, so what? Like, it doesn't need to be a good joke. And I don't know, Michael, I've been through a couple of, we're going to liquidate this now because it's too expensive and we don't need it. I worked at MTV for a while. Andrew and I, producer, have a this is too expensive story. That was really emotionally tough on me personally. So maybe you could talk about like the experience of like having that personal like goodbye, like crumbling of something. Well, something you did for 5 years, and that also explicitly like this is about you. We're not going to say it's about you, but like it's about what you do. And
it's uniquely about you too. And just to dovetail, because I think that's a great question, and I also think it's uniquely interesting for you because in this endeavor you were the voice of it, and people knew it that way. So there had to be a unique personal experience of having that institution change as suddenly as it did.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this example is a way to answer that question. The plan of this company was initially to lay everyone off all of a sudden without warning. But because a good person in that company heard about this, we had like a 72-hour heads up before, we lost access to all the accounts or whatever. So one thing that I decided to do was I went on the Patreon that Wisecrack had, and I canceled all the payments on it and sent out a message that was just like, hey, they're shutting it down. You shouldn't pay money to be here. Love you guys. And we made a video really quickly to post on the channel that was like a goodbye, where all my colleagues that worked on it like filmed a little segment. We talked about what everyone else would be working on, where you get in touch with people. And we posted that on the channel. And that all led to initially everyone that was a part of our team being sent cease and desist letters by the legal department. They canceled everyone's severances. Eventually everyone but me got a severance payment. But it was a big thing. And I guess the company was really mad at it. And it, to me, like showed me the contradiction of this logic, where I felt like I've spent years of my life as myself talking to an audience. I have met tons of people in life who have let me know they've enjoyed the channel and been impacted by it. I've talked to people on the internet. I've met all types of interesting folks. And I know this thing means something to people. And I put a lot of myself into it. And I feel like we owe that to an audience. And seeing that from a corporate perspective, what our team viewed as an act of like solidarity and kindness to a community that allowed us to exist was viewed as an undermining of the potential to sell the thing in the future or something like that. And I think at that point already, I was feeling this tension of a thing being so attached to my persona that I didn't own, that I didn't have the rights to, that other people were able to make money off. So it was weird to feel that collapse. I'd say on the flip side, it's nice to not feel that anymore. And it's even when it's scary to make stuff independently, but it's nice to feel like I have ownership over my digital self, at least to some extent, in a way that I didn't before.
How quickly after all of that went down were you very sure that you wanted to even go in that direction personally after having this experience?
Yeah, I mean, part of it is simply, what else am I going to do? To an extent, like it's a thing that I had done for a while. And then before I started working full time at Wisecrack, I did a bunch of freelance writing and performance stuff. Before that, I was a college professor for a number of years. So like I've bounced around career wise, and I'm like any career I touch collapses almost immediately. So I, went to grad school so I could be a professor, and then I started teaching, and then academia just started withering from the inside. But then thank God I had an opportunity in digital media. And as soon as my foot stepped on that boat, the water started to fill and the wood rotted out. So part of it was just simply like, what the fuck else am I going to do? And I had started messing around with streaming by myself and making some little things on the side post-election, because I felt like I wanted to talk more directly about what was happening in the country, and I couldn't necessarily do that on the corporately owned place. So yeah, I just kind of felt like might as well go for this. And luckily, talked to my wife about it, who started a teaching job recently, which created like a certain level of room for me to fail. Shout out to my wife, poet Callie Siskel. Read her work. I know, no free advertisements. I'm sorry.
So I just want to interrupt. So the source of stability in your economic situation is that of a poet?
That's how bad it is.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
That's a good call, Anna. That's a good call.
Yeah, that's how things are pretty fucked up. When, but again, the stability of this poetry is like
entertainment industry. But good thing I'm married to a poet.
Yeah, so I wipe my ass with money. But it's a thing even then where it's like she spent years doing freelance copywriting, all this other stuff, and it's like for 2 years I'm employed doing poetry stuff at a university, and after that there's no guarantee. So but that provided like enough room for me to try doing a thing. No, but you're totally right. Like there's sometimes when we like hang out with our people and the couple like people say their jobs, we're just like, oh boy.